Thanks everyone for being here. I know it's the end of the day. It's been an awesome day being with you all. And I also know that there is a critical semifinal World Cup game kicking off right now as well. So really appreciate you all being here and supporting us as we show what we've developed over the past couple years. Like Amy mentioned, over the past few years, we've partnered very closely with the Institute and many alpha partners literally across the world. So we have sponsored the past three BRM Connect conferences, starting in Portland, then Puerto Rico, and then Kansas City, and looking forward to Denver here in a few months as well. And then also last year, or maybe it's been 2 years now. I think it was last year. I kind of lose track of time sometime. We actually sponsored the BRM World Tour. And so we actually introduced Atlas to BRMs across the globe in Doha, Qatar, and South Africa and the Middle East as well. Phoenix, Arizona, Austin, Texas, right? So really our mindset with building Atlas is ensuring that we're building something that's lasting, building something that is going to solve a problem and provide value and impact that we have discussed earlier today as well. So I've had many examples over the past 3 years as we've built this, as we started with a paper prototype and wireframes of what we were intending to build. I've had many examples of individuals across the globe who have said, "This is what we need," right? This is kind of what we've been waiting for. So happy to share what we have today with you all and go from there. Wanted to emphasize that we are live. So we've spent the past 3 years really designing what we wanted to deploy, working directly with some critical alpha partners and beta partners, and we're currently live today. So as you look at the platform, if you're saying, "Hey, let's give this a shot," right? Let's see if this can fit within our ecosystem. Feel free to reach out to Kimball or myself, and we can have you onboarded within a day. So it's really that slick, and we can hit the ground running, so to speak. I know Kimball is here, and we have a few other team members as well. Just wanted to quickly introduce ourselves, or I can introduce the team on their behalf. So Jeff Goff, definitely the British spelling of Jeff, and yes, I have seen the George Washington skit from SNL multiple times at this point, and I think it's hilarious. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Atlas. Really, my background is in project management and really merging the two worlds or the two roles of how PMs and BRMs can get along and work better together. Kimball Lovin is our CEO and founder of Atlas. He brings over 30 years of BRM experience to the table. This is really his baby from the get-go, and we're following his great lead. We also have Mark Polson, who is our CIO. Mark brings quite a bit of experience in software development and also AI and AI impact for the future and kind of that human in the loop principle and such a crucial element that's important to BRMs. And then we also have Raymond Hollowell. Raymond Hollowell is our Chief Technology Officer, has primarily been focused on ensuring that we're designing and developing the right tool that's going to be providing value to this community and beyond. And he's been really focused on this project on a daily basis over the past 3 years. So that's just a quick introduction. I want to jump into the tool and show you what we have today. I'm going to focus on a few different areas of value, right? We've talked about value quite a bit today. And as I look at the tool, I'm really only going to be jumping in if it's something that can systemize the value that I need to provide, to myself as an individual as far as job satisfaction, but then also to my organization, to my department, to my team, right? So I'm going to show you ways in which we can emphasize the value of relationships, the value of work that we're doing, that we're conducting with our environment that could be called a demand, That could be an initiative, that could be an opportunity, whatever the case may be, however you call it, but the value of that work specifically, the value of process as far as how we watch work move through an environment or through our organization and understanding how critical that is. So I'm going to show you how we visualize that a little bit more within the tool. And then also the value of data and the value of information and how we are focused on ensuring that there are integration capabilities within the platform and data that is actionable, right? That decisions can actually be made as a result of having it readily available. So those are kind of the four areas of value that we'll focus on for today. Atlas is a software as a service solution. Our chief technology officer can get into details as far as, development languages and hosting and all that, if there's any questions related to that. So with that, let me jump into it. So first and foremost, I'm going to jump into our relationships. So I'm gonna minimize this Teams window here just so I can see a little bit better. So Kimball, make sure you cut me off if there is a question, okay? I'm
Happy
just
to.
gonna Thank you. I'm just gonna jump into a relationship. So first and foremost, Atlas gives you the opportunity to systematize and build a relationship map or outline all those key relationships within an organization. At the very beginning, there is an onboarding where we can define the org structure of the team. Let me just show that real quick, just so you're aware. We have all users. You can customize the user roles that would be within your organization, if that's admins, super admins, BRMs, directors, a manager, heck, maybe even a project manager that needs this visibility. All are invited to participate within this platform. Um, but how this is organized is through this piece. So you'll have an organization structure. This is our demo environment. So notice I'm in the Atlas Tech organization, but you can build this out as many layers deep as you need to be able to visually see, okay, how are we needing to organize from a structure perspective and the users within this organization. And then we spent a lot of time ensuring that we were developing a very robust RBAC system as far as controlling who can see what within the platform. So I don't have any rules created right now, but you can add various access related to if it's a BRM, maybe it's a VP, maybe it's an individual that just needs to see like a specific area of the tool. You can limit that. And in the sidebar, so this is our out of the box sidebar, those elements. You can really decide as a team who should be able to do what, who should be able to interact with what. So security and ensuring that you're only sharing what's absolutely critical within the tool is and has always been a focus of ours related to RBAC. So jumping back to relationships, that's kind of how this is built initially. So I'm a BRM. I'm logged in as Jeff, as you can see up here. I've been working with a partner, Connor. I've been working with another partner, Mark. They're in the HR and the IT departments, respectfully. I can drill down into a relationship dashboard, and I'll just show you some of the components of this dashboard. So this is really, as we're managing this, it comes down to identifying deliverables and tasks that represent the maturity of this relationship itself. This is really where I wanted to emphasize our partnership with the BRM Institute. This is where we have the opportunity of leveraging a lot of those direct artifacts and IP from the Institute directly within the tool. So for example, an example of that would be the maturity model. So this might look familiar to many of you. We wanted to make this an interactive image, something that we could actually drill down within this image, actually track deliverables that are important to the relationship and to the tasks that need to occur within that relationship. So I could drill down into level two, say we are at that order taker level at this point. Notice I have identified some deliverables. We need I think this relationship was between HR and IT. Hey, we need a technology roadmap. We need to understand further what governance looks like. And you know what? We actually need to further define what the role is of the BRM and how HR and technology can leverage, that role moving forward. But you have the ability to drill down into the specific deliverable. And within that deliverable, you can identify specific action items that need to take place. It could be as simple as, hey, this is a quick to do, or it could be, hey, we need to prepare for business value realization, and how are we doing that together within the maturity of this relationship. Our relationship module is really focused on turning a lot of those intangible assets, intangible interactions that we have as BRMs into a tangible item, right? Something that we can actually report upon and make it a little bit more actionable. Kimball, was there anything that came up?
There was a question from Diane about how is the value created by persons impacted by AI? Is it diminishing it or increasing the value? And I put my
Perfect.
response in the chat, but yeah, AI is only going to enhance the value of the relationship and the BRM role in my mind. It's never going to replace those relationships. This tool will help us track that. And as Jeff continues through this demo, he'll be able to show you how we can track some of those relationships and how we can monitor and show the value of that BRM. So great question,
Perfect.
Diane.
Yeah, great question. And I'll show you how we're leveraging an AI, a BRM agent within our workflow. But there's still, we just don't want to lose touch of that, human in the loop component of all this, and have that validation and audit component, within a workflow. So great question. We can also track engagements. So it could be an official service review that has occurred. It could be grabbing coffee ad hoc with an individual, right? So this is just a way for us to track, okay, who did I meet with? What partner was it? Were they within HR, IT? Was it Connor? Was it Mark? Was it a service review? Was it just a quick check-in? And then, what did occur within that specific engagement, and just a better way of organizing those relationships in a more tangible way. Okay. Um, once we've made some assignments at this specific deliverable level, notice here we're at a 25% complete at this point, mostly because we've identified these 4 action items that represent maturity of this deliverable, the deliverable of a technology roadmap. So then from a Connor perspective, right now I'm logged in as myself. Let me just log in as Connor and hope that it works as I jump between the various relationships here. Connor, a few different ways in which he can actually navigate to those action items that are required by him. He'll have the bell here in the top right. So this is a list of, and granted, he's been adding a lot of ideas, a lot of responsibilities for Connor, our BRM. We can see all the notifications as well, so he can navigate that way. He could also navigate over to my activity. Notice he has some relationship deliverable actions, which are tied directly to that specific deliverable. So he could open the task from there as well, or he could just be in his relationships. Connor is currently aligned with Jeff Goff and Mark Polson. He could come to his dashboard and see the same thing that I was seeing from the previous view. He can drill down into that specific deliverable, and notice here we have Connor assigned to a few different tasks. Let's just say for kicks and giggles, he starts meeting with HR leadership from a technology perspective on a consistent basis. He'll have the ability to mark that as complete. Or if there's cases where it's not just a simple mark as complete, you can require him to upload an official artifact, right? So maybe it's the minutes from the meeting, maybe it's the agenda, whatever the case may be. You can determine what level of action item this is for someone like Connor. And notice just simple math here as far as 2 out of the 4 action items at this specific level of deliverable have now been complete. Those completed action items would appear down here below. Kind of what I mentioned just briefly, just previously. These were simple, mark this as complete type tasks that didn't necessarily require a document or proof, right? That Connor, did what he was going to do. There is an item type within action items or a specific setting that can be enabled on your instance where you can say, yeah, I want that. I want the document. I want the meeting minutes, right? I want this all kind of integrated. And if that's the case, as Connor submits this action item for completion, he could upload that document. And then as the BRM, you could go in, you could view the document and see what Connor had ultimately submitted within the system. Connor can also come back to, let me just see this, come back to the dashboard relationship. I already showed you the maturity model, but within the maturity model, this is where we would be updating the maturity level itself. So say we get to a point together in this relationship amongst Mark and Connor and Jeff as the BRM, you could update the maturity level. I could say, you know what, we're good on the order taker. We're going to move over to this level. And we're going to say, because Connor has shown extreme value, just something like that. We can save and close. We have now moved on to level 3, but we still have the ability to look past or look behind as far as where were we before, at level 2, those deliverables, or even level 1. So then if I were to drill down into level 3, notice clean slate, right? This is your opportunity to really define and build out what maturity is going to look like within the relationship. Okay. Any questions before I move on to the next value that I wanted to highlight today? Okay. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to log back in as myself, not going to be Connor the entire time. But let me focus on the value of work itself. And what we really want to emphasize with work is you can call it whatever you'd like to call it within the tool. Meaning when we were developing Atlas over the past 3 years, one of our mottos, I've joked about this before. It should be a bumper sticker or a T-shirt or a hat by now. Is the machine to build the machine, right? So if you're in here, some folks are calling these demands, some folks are calling these ideas, some folks are calling these workflows overall. You have the ability within our application to customize it, to add specific sections. So I could come over here and add a section. This is a record that I'm creating, right? It's something that represents the body of work. I could call this opportunities. I know there's a partner out there that we've been working with who calls their demands and ideas opportunities. You could also define as a team or as an organization if there's a go-to template that you want to use moving forward. It could be a specific field that you need within the opportunities form or the demand form. Um, you have the ability here to select all the templates that we have available out of the box, or you can create net new. You can also create a fancy icon. How do you want this visually represented over here on the left side? Let me just show you a quick example of that. I'm just going to say, hey, this is the template that we want to use. It's the IDIS submission 2026. And I'm going to, oh, I forgot this part. I'm just going to call this opportunities as well, just for the demo. And I'm going to submit this section. So now opportunities is added to my left pane navigation. And as I move work through various workflows in the system, or if I have an individual working on a specific, if it's a value plan or a business case, I can tie that all directly to this customized section. So it gives you the opportunity to use Atlas as your canvas, but we won't necessarily dictate which color you add to the canvas every step of the way. Provide some flexibility in how you approach this. Let me just show you some more templates and kind of how that looks. And for today, I created 2 example templates. We
Hey,
have,
Jeff,
yeah, go ahead.
we do have a question from Keith before we move on.
Sure.
Let me just repeat it for you. For customers without your platform, what do you typically see them using in trying to make this capability happen?
Oh, Keith, we have seen uh, every which potential solution from post-it notes to OneNotes to Excel spreadsheets to floating PowerPoints, and of course to I think Ramsey mentioned this earlier today in his demo. Great job, by the way, Ramsey. Um, I've seen existing tools that maybe were meant for something else, right? Maybe it's an incident management tool or a project management tool, trying to be used for this competency, right? Or this community. So I've seen every which tool out there in the industry, and that's why when I demo this or have been demoing for the past couple of years, as far as keeping folks updated, that's why a lot of the sentiment has been, gosh, finally, I know Kimball, you've been attending BRM Connect for many years, m many more years than myself at 3. And it kind of seems to be the theme, right? Where's the tool? How are we able to systematize, the work that we do as a BRM community? So, yeah, I would say, Keith, that long story short, every which tool, across the board. And I'll just add, with that in mind, I respect and our team respects that there are existing investments that have taken place. Like totally understand that. And that's why from the very beginning, as we've developed Atlas, integration has been such a key topic and a key priority for us. And here in a couple minutes, I'll show you kind of how integration is coming along and what we have planned for the future. So we want to respect what's already out there, but try to get away from the band-aid approach, and just it is what it is approach, and really be intentional with this tool, moving forward. So great question.
If I remember correctly, we did meet with one healthcare organization that was using PowerPoint. And what was it? 300 slides that they had in preparing for
Yeah,
a service review, something, or was it maybe estimating, maybe it was 100. I don't remember. It was in the hundreds. I do know that. So it was quite
yep.
a few. So I'm sure that we're all experiencing that at the moment.
Well, what happens and what we've seen happen, with these organizations, and I think I know the partner that you're mentioning, Kimball. Sometimes we spend so much time gearing up for like a service review meeting or a committee meeting, right? And gathering the data in a manual effort. By the time we have the meeting, the data is just not reliable unless we're working the night before just to double check those numbers, right? And so in that case, it was a team who, yeah, the slide deck itself was over 100 pages in length, and it took them 3 months to prepare for that specific meeting. So that's kind of one of the problem statements or the opportunities that we're seeing as far as, gosh, there has to be a better way in which this data can be leveraged and integrated in a better way. And let me create a dashboard or an AI agent that could help me do so. So it's a great call out. Let me just
And as you
focus a
get
little
going,
bit.
Jeff,
Yeah.
there's one more question regarding APIs in place, and you'll get to that.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
just let you know,
Yep.
Keith.
I'll
Okay.
show you what we have right now, and we're actively working to add additional APIs, as we speak with our development team. Okay. Really, just what I wanted to highlight here with templates is anything that because of our partnership with the BRM Institute, being a founding member of their provider network, their software provider network. This allows us to systematize a lot of those artifacts that you use on a daily basis as a BRM. One of those that has been mentioned to me, I was about to say a million, not a million, maybe 100 times, is the value plan tracker, right? So I know there's a spreadsheet out there that's being used. You have the ability to create that as a template to be used consistently within the tool, within Atlas. It could be a record that you use or that you leverage directly within the tool, or I'll show you here in a few minutes as far as how we leverage integration to pull it in from a different tool if we're not ready to systematize within Atlas for that specific information. But we have a designer component within the tool. So if there is like a template, like the value plan tracker, this is where kind of that machine to build the machine component comes into play, right? You can add specific labels, you can add helper text as far as, hey, what am I completing here as far as project information, project name, date submitted. I'm just showing you a few different examples. Value plan guidance. Maybe this is just inline help that is assisting the individual who is completing this value plan. And then you could add specific columns if it's a plan ID, if it's a category, a description, a type, an owner, time to value, value achieved, yes or no, or to be determined. You can add all of that information directly within a template. Notice here, this is your this is your pen, pencil, paints. This is how you're adding all this information into the tool, into a template, ensuring that you're able to still build something customizable. I like what Kit mentioned earlier, right? Like frameworks are great, templates are great, but there still needs to be a little flexibility built into how we approach things, right? So just ensuring that you have that opportunity. And in this case, I built a value plan tracker 2026, right? This is what leadership cares about. These are the fields that we need to be able to report upon throughout this year at least. But like I mentioned, you can create templates for workflows and for specific documents. And I'd like to show you workflows, unless there's any other questions before I move on to that section, Kimball.
I think we're good.
Okay.
We are at 30 minutes after the hour. Just time check.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Yep, I appreciate the time check there. So I just want to share just a quick personal story, and let me just share my screen, share this image real quick. So the green arrow on the bottom right is a route that I might drive on a daily basis. I'm located up here. My home is located right here. Where this blue dot is, thanks to Apple. Every time I'm driving down this street, I approach this stop sign. I have three kids in the back of the car who are yelling, shortcut, 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 shortcut. They want me to go this way. They want me to turn right, go up this street, turn left, turn right, and then arrive at home. Only if I'm in a very good mood will I go the quote unquote shortcut route. Because what I've understood and what I know from personal experience is I don't just know this first step. I don't know just that stop sign. I know this yield. I know I'm going to have to look left and right. And then I know I need to drive down here. And then again, I need to look left and right. From a child's perspective, they just see this first step. They just see what's next. From my perspective, if I continue down this road just a little bit farther, I need to turn right here. I'm not really yielding to oncoming traffic. I'm driving on the right side. And I need to yield to pedestrians. Sometimes they're crossing right here. So I need to be careful. But after that, it's a straight shot. Really, from a workflow perspective, what we're trying to do is give you an opportunity to visualize the work just a little bit better, understanding what's after this next stop sign and have that visual representation of that work. And for me, this is where it really becomes exciting from a BRM perspective. So let me just open up Atlas once again. You have the ability to see where work is located. If it's a demand, if it's an idea, if it's an opportunity, you can see it visually within the platform through our workflow module. Let me show you an example of that. So I'm going to click on the view button, and I'm going to maximize the screen a little bit here. This is an example of what we've built. So I've built a BRM workflow for the year where we are submitting the idea. And within the idea, let me just click edit this template. This is a workflow that can be used over and over and over with many different ideas going through this specific workflow. I can select submit idea. As I mentioned before with templates, this is where I could be leveraging a specific template. So say it's that IDIS submission 2026. Whoever does this work, needs to follow this template, right? It's not an email here. It's not a post-it over here. We are sending folks in one direction. I can make assignments. And in this case, I'm going to say it's Connor, and I'm going to save that task. Now, if all goes well, if Connor submits this idea, we have an AI task that we can then implement. And this is up to you. If you want to add AI into your workflow, you can. We have a specific task type where you can define what you want AI to do. In this case, I want it to look at this initial idea from Connor and kind of gauge, is he completely off his rocker at this point, or is he on to something, right? Like, does it align with kind of our strategic approach for our organization? So I'm going to have AI draft some usable text and recommendation potentially. You have a recommendation tab or you have a summarize tab. I'm going to have it draft, kind of its overall review. You can have AI determine what it should look like or what it should look at. Is it the task that's been completed before? Is it a file that was attached to the task, like an SBAR or a business case? Is it the overall record itself, action items, any imported data, whatever the case may be? But I'm going to have AI just run automatically in this case. So in this case, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm good with that. AI is going to kick off and AI is going to make the recommendation. Should we pursue this idea from Connor or should we park it for now? If it is pursued, I'll be given an opportunity, or Connor will be given an opportunity to further add value to this work within this workflow by creating a value plan. And the same idea, we can leverage a template if we want to directly within the tool. We're going to leverage the value plan tracker, and I'm going to assign this to Connor. I'm going to save this task. Leveraging templates, you won't always have to manually go in to define who does what, who's assigned to it. In your case, maybe it's a triage system that always goes to the same team or to the same person. You can leverage a template to apply those changes. So you're not always manually going in and saying, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, right? So if I'm going to come up here, and I just notice I think I'm in the template view, I'm going to come over to create workflow because I want to run through this. And I want to run through this through the BRM workflow template. Now, two ways that we can approach this. If it's a team workflow, that means multiple individuals are involved in this work moving through our organization, which typically tends to be the case. Or it could be a single user workflow. And the reason we added this is because we have a critical beta partner who's working with us in the higher education, the university higher education space. And they're wanting to use Atlas to better track the relationship between a student and a university faculty
That's
and
awesome.
all. Yeah,
Great
it's
job.
going to be. Thank you. And all that a student needs to do to track their career within their degree currently, but then after their education journey. And so that's how we're using this single user workflow. If any of you would like to take a look at that closer, I can put you in touch with our beta partner and show you kind of what they're working on. But for the demo, let's jump into team workflow. Notice here, I'm going to just add, just because I've talking too much and maybe I need to speed things up just a tad bit here. Let me just say on this one, we're going to assign Connor as our individual to submit the initial idea. We're going to have the AI task kick off automatically. I'm still going to get the opportunity to look at that AI task. We're going to create a value plan. We're going to leverage this template for the value plan, and we're going to have Connor do that. We're going to make sure this guy is super busy, right? Now, once he does that, I'm going to save that task. And let's see what happens. We're going to name this workflow. And when you think workflow name, in this case, we're thinking what we want this idea to be called. I'm just going to call this FIFA 2026. Okay. Soccer might be on my mind just a tad. And then I'm going to start this workflow. Now, what I can do at this point, I could tie this work directly to a relationship that I have within the organization, within the platform, the relationship module that I showed earlier. So I'm going to select HR and IT. Notice there's Connor, there's Mark, there's Jeff. I'm going to say, hey, this applies to the entire relationship. And I'm going to start this workflow. Okay, so FIFA 2026 has kicked off. I can now view what's happening within the workflow. I'm logged in as Jeff right now. But notice there's 6 total steps. It's currently running, 0% progress because Connor, he needs to submit the idea. So let me quickly log in as Connor again. There's that. Thank goodness for pre-filled fields sometimes. And up in Connor's alert piece or alert badge or that icon, I almost forgot the word for icon, he can select submit idea. He's coming here. He knows it's part of FIFA 2026. And for purposes of the demo, I'm just going to drop in some text. So this is a HR transformation project that Connor's been working on. Maybe he has a floating S bar out there, or he can just type it directly within the tool. But for now, for the demo, I'm going to paste this information into our initial intake form. And I'm going to submit and complete the step. So he submitted that. Notice on step 2, an AI task is now running, right? This is just an automatic thing. I wanted AI to go in and review what Connor had submitted, assess, is he completely off his rocker, and make a recommendation if we should pursue this or if we should park it. Notice it's recommending that we pursue, but I want to see what AI actually provided. I can view the submission. And so here is the AI generated output. You know, it's listing, hey, this idea addresses a clear employee experience challenge. It's providing some draft content that we could use as far as the challenge. And also it's making a recommendation here. How does this strategically fit in what we want to do between HR and IT, right? And it's given a score of 8 out of 10 and a value potential of 8 out of 10. It's also identified some key risks that we need to be aware of, or some key questions that we should be asking as we pursue this idea. So that's one of the key ways out of the box that we're leveraging AI, embedding AI within our existing workflows and making recommendations or moving work forward as far as if work should be pursued or potentially parked. I think you kind of get the gist here. Overall, this is tracking the progress percent of this workflow, or think of it as, hey, this is that BRM ideation workflow that starts with the idea, moves through the different groups, the individuals, an opportunity to add value to this specific idea that we want to potentially pursue, but then ultimately kind of having that visibility. And for me, yeah, you know, my kids not they may not be able to see. Well, I know they don't see the other steps in this workflow as I'm driving them. They just see that first step. This gives you an opportunity to actually see the work and see where the work is located from a visual perspective. We know that we've completed, you know, the green represents completed here. So we know that the idea has been submitted, the ideation task has kicked off, and we know it's now waiting on a value plan. You can also view this same information from a dashboard perspective, right? Because I know there's going to be multiple workflows out there, multiple ideas. You need to be able to visually just see the work from a dashboard perspective. So I'm logged in as Connor. Let me just jump back. I'm sorry, it's a lot of jumping in between. I'm going to jump back to my own account. I should have mentioned this as well. I'm going to log in with single sign-on. Our platform is supported with single sign-on if you are a Microsoft customer today. Also, we have MFA capability. So if you need MFA or multi-factor authentication, we can enable that on your instance as well. So I'm going to log in with single sign-on, and I'm going to come to my dashboards, and I promise Kimball I'm wrapping up. I'm just going to show the value of data at this point, or the value of information. You have the opportunity here to create a customized dashboard. And when you do, you can start from a template that you want folks to use, or it could be from a blank canvas, right? It could be from this point, adding charts, adding tables, adding scatter plots, escalations, information lists. For purposes of the demo, I'm just going to show you an example of an executive dashboard that I had created. And notice, I don't have the time to drill down all the time to drill down into each and every idea or potential workflow that we're pursuing. But notice this FIFA 2026 one is now on my list. I know from a overall executive perspective or a BRM perspective, this shows me everything that's moving through my specific department. I know that we're at 33%. If I want more details, I could open that up further. this is the same workflow. I can kind of see who I need to maybe nudge along the way, as we pursue this work. Now, lastly, what I want to show you is just related to integration. Integration is such a critical element that when I was in Portland, gosh, now 4 years ago, maybe it's 3 years. I lose track of time. One of the first questions individuals were asking me is, what about integration? We've already spent all this money over here, all this money over here. I just wanted to highlight, some of the examples that we have so far and what we're adding within the system as well. So I'm just going to come in. I'm going to make sure I'm logged in as myself. I'm going to come into Customize App and I can come to integration settings. Right now, we have an integration with Google that I'm going to show you today. And we're currently working on the ServiceNow integration, the Jira navigation, integration, and then also the Microsoft Office, as far as if you're using a specific spreadsheet in OneDrive, would be that use case. So, but for today, let me show you the Google Sheets connector. This is a company-wide toggle. So if I can say, hey, we need to shut down integration for now, I could do so. But then I can also go into my specific integration. So like I said, working on ServiceNow right now and Excel, I'm going to show you what we have for Google at the moment. And in Google, let's just say kicks and giggles. I know, Keith, you asked that question. What do you see folks using today? Well, I've seen a lot of spreadsheets over here. I've seen a lot of information floating, but it leads to potentially some inefficiencies that we could gain if we can bring that information together. In some cases, though, I've been told, hey, it is what it is. We love our spreadsheets, right? Like we're not moving away from our spreadsheets. So let's just say, as an example, we have a value plan spreadsheet. HR has value plans that they're tracking. Each of them has a unique ID, a category. Maybe it's about speed or quality. Maybe it's quantitative or qualitative. Maybe there's owners who have been defined. Well, within Atlas, you can manage those sheets directly. And notice I've connected this specific instance, and for today I connected it to my personal Gmail for a demo. But you can take a look at the sheets that are connected. Right now it's showing that I have this Google account, and I can drop in that direct URL, this bad boy right here, into this form, and that creates that connection. Now notice I already did that, and I have this name of HR Value Plans. The account is my own. The worksheet, I was so creative calling it Sheet 1. The last sync, right now it's a manual integration, but you could schedule this. You could schedule this if you want this to be, let me just click that toggle. If you want this every day, if you want it every hour, if you want it every week, you can determine the time zone, what happens with that information. If we're pulling and saving and importing it into a dashboard, or just pulling it right here just to see, and then applying it to the database within Atlas afterwards. So you can determine what that looks like. For now, I just have it as a manual pull. But notice if I come over to dashboards, my executive dashboard that I originally created, yeah, there's my workflows that I care about. Maybe those are ideas. Here's some value plan information. This is actually pulling in directly from that Google sheet. Maybe on value plan number 102, maybe we say, hey, Jeff Goffey's just not cut out for this, right? Maybe this needs to be Kimball Lovin. So outside of the system, I could come over here. I could say Kimball Lovin if I can type. I'm going to come back over here. And if you have this automatically scheduled, even better. But I'm going to come to integrations. I'm going to come to manage sheets, and I am going to sync now. That has been synced. So now when I come over back to dashboards and my executive dashboard, I'm going to view that, and notice that information has now been pulled in. Kimball Lovin is the value owner of that specific line item. So just an example as far as, and I feel like we're just scratching the surface related to integration. So what we have next, of course, as I mentioned, the ServiceNow, but then also all these AI services and tools that are out there, right? Like we're leveraging a lot of the native AWS components for AI and those services within the tool. But there might be folks out there, I know there's folks out there with Copilot, right? Or Claude or OpenAI, whatever the case may be. I feel like we're just scratching the surface as far as what we can do with integration and leveraging those services within the tool. Another example, and then I'll conclude, you know, some folks love the relationship as far as, hey, this is IT and HR, this is a department thing. But like I mentioned earlier, we're focused as well as on the student journey for some of our beta partners. And that just speaks to the versatility of the tool, the machine to build the machine. We're not saying, hey, if you're this role, you use this, right? Like this is really giving you an opportunity to kind of configure that machine to build the machine. And just an example of a report that's important for, higher education would be a student journey, report showing me all the students. Maybe it's their skill progress score that we're determining. Maybe it's their career readiness score. And then you'd have the ability to hover over the information within this interactive dashboard, drill down further into that specific journey of that student. And like I showed previously, see their personal workflow, right? See where they are within the workflow. Also, one of the other components that I forgot to mention is there is a notification management alert that can be built within the workflow. So and so this means that you may not always be the one that has to remind Connor to complete the task, right? You can actually build in an alert that says if no action is taken upon this task within 7 days, eh, send Connor a little friendly email, right? Or send him a text. And from a user perspective, up in their profile, they can determine, hey, do I want the emails? Do I want the text messages? Right now, from a company level, we've turned off text messages just because of all the testing we've been doing, the demoing. I don't want to be bombarded, to be honest. But right now, a lot of emails, right? And so this gives you the flexibility. They can determine how they want to be notified within the system. But then, as someone who owns a workflow or is shaping a demand and moving work through the organization, it kind of gives you that assist, right? Like send Connor a reminder of what we need to do here. Lastly, and then I think we have a couple minutes, maybe before 2 o'clock here, 2 o'clock Mountain, where I'm in the Mountain time zone. If you like what you see today, if you like a personal demo for you and your teams, please reach out to us. My name is Jeff Goff, Jeffrey Goff, if I'm in trouble. And this is our email, Kimball's information as well. You can email us directly. You can connect with us on LinkedIn.